Unlock hundreds of deals on Tom Thumb for you. Sign up today.
Are you deficient in magnesium? These days, most people are. Our soils are depleted.
All right, let me know if y'all can hear me. Put a 1 in the chat and let me know if y'all can hear me now before I get started. All right, so let me get back into it. Okay, so community powers. Sovereign people, which naturally have the power to rule their homes, communities, and nations. A freely elected representative government has no power that is superior to the people because sovereignty resides in the people, not in the representatives of the people. It is often reported that officials are elected into power, whereas they are actually elected into office. An elected official can only have delegated powers because they are always subservient to their electors. Public servants by definition are subservient to private sovereigns. Unfortunately, most people do not exercise their sovereignty. Sovereign living people are in common law jurisdiction, and that is the national law of the land, which is lawful. While legally generated corporate artificial persons created by the state are in admiralty maritime commercial jurisdiction, and that is the international law of the sea, which is legal. So that's the difference between legal and lawful. So when you say legal, you are putting yourself under admiralty maritime commercial jurisdiction. And when you say lawful, you're putting yourself under common law, which is the law of the land. Employees of a corporation cannot exercise authority over their chief executive officer, which is the CEO, nor can artificial persons created by the state exercise authority over an incorporated governmental agency. Therefore, people who act in the roles of artificial persons have no sovereign authority. Corporate processes of hearing and redress are subservient, for example, submissions, appeals, and petitions, whereas common law processes of hearing and redress are sovereign, for example, notices, orders, and declarations. So that is the distinction between corporate words and common law words. So you guys should really be writing this down, because when you hear those words, submission, appeals, and petitions, just keep in mind that is under the law of the sea, admiralty maritime commercial jurisdiction. And when you hear words notices, orders, and declarations, that is under common law jurisdiction, which is the law of the land. Can y'all hear me now still? Let me know if y'all still can hear me. All right, I'm gonna keep going. So, governments at all levels, including city and town councils, have been legally incorporated into the global debt money system of bondage and largely usurped by a myriad of corporate interests. But whenever governance in any form becomes harmful to the people, it is the right of the people to hold such governance to account, to seek redress for wrongdoing, or ultimately to institute new governance that will safeguard the people. All political power is inherent in the people, and all political organization begins at home. Therefore, the political powers of the people are first exercised governmentally when electing and overseeing their local public servants on a town or city council. When a community of private people wishes to exercise their sovereign authority over their public servants in the common law, they can post a notice of a people's assembly, during which they can ratify any majority decision of the community. By this process, a community of private people can serve a notice on their public servants or write a community bill of rights and so on, if they deem it necessary to protect their community of life. So keep that in mind. If you can find people in your area that are like-minded, you guys can come together and create a bill of rights for the community and serve notice against the public servants. So keep that in mind. You have that kind of right. But we haven't been taught this in school. So when you hear stuff like this, a lot of people get scared. The documents created by a people's assembly must be autographed by a freely elected committee, witnessed and acknowledged for the record by a justice. In common law nations, community justices are sworn to serve the private people, upholding the common law of the land, which protects life and peace. A justice of the common law is known appropriately as a justice of the peace, and I'm pretty sure you guys heard of that before. Their service is free and mobile to ensure accessibility. They can hold a common law court of record wherever they set up their desk and their documentation, Bible, stamps, and a pen. Common law procedures are common sense. Keep that in mind. So the things that you are innately just have in your body, just know, like, you know it's wrong to be in love with your sister, right? It's just stuff that you just already know, and it's common sense, and everybody should have it. Most people do, right? So keep that in mind whenever you're being forced to uphold something, against your will, when it has nothing to do with common sense, like traffic tickets. Conduct must be fair and transparent, providing full disclosure of any information relevant to decision making. Notices of People's Assembly for your community and notices sent to public servants must provide a reasonable time frame for a response, such as at least 7 days. Statements of fact, according to belief, must be witnessed by at least one other man or woman in the presence of a justice of the peace or a similarly sworn man or woman. Public servants have no authority that is not granted to them by the private people, and once a people's assembly has spoken on a community matter, there is no higher authority who can overturn it. So that's how much power we have if we stand together. If you would like a copy or an example copy of the Community Bill of Rights, please email me requesting it, and I'll leave my email in the chat later on, and I also have it on the screen later on. A person has no body. Now we're going to get into the good stuff. That was just an introduction. In the imaginary world of legal fiction commerce, and all commerce is legal fiction, a person is always an artificial legal person or one kind or another legally generated. A legal person is any subject matter to which the law attributes a merely legal or fictitious personality. This extension is one of the most noteworthy feats of the legal imagination. Legal persons, being the arbitrary creations of the law, may be of as many kinds as as many kinds as the law pleases. Those recognized by our own system, however, all fall within a single class, namely corporations or body corporate. And this source comes from Jurisprudence 7th edition, Sweet and Maxwell, 1924, section 113, page 336. And I think that book is on scrib.com. You can get it for free. If you sign up for a 30-day trial, you can download as much as you can off of there before the 30-day trial is up. If you haven't reached out to me for a free information packet, or you can also send me an email. Like I said, I'll leave my email, and I'll send you over like books. I think this is one of the books that I have on the list or that's included in that email, but you can reference that from there. A legally generated artificial person has no substance, no body, no brain, no consciousness, no heart, no energy, no spirit, no soul. It is a mere legal persona in the fictional theater of commerce, which is prescribed imaginary roles played by actors giving a performance. All of this is a game. A person has no body. Still, I'm just going into detail, just building up. The legal definitions for types of person do not include certain terms such as living man or woman, and instead use uncertain terms such as individual and human being, naturally born. Even the term natural person is ambiguous because a noun can be real or imaginary, and such the word person is a noun. A natural person is not necessarily real. That's how they trick you up, because they keep everybody on a second grade reading level. And in second grade, you're just being introduced to the differences between nouns, but you only get the basic, beginner's level about what nouns are. So most adults are walking around thinking they're very smart. But if they understood, which I shouldn't even be using the word understand, but you guys get what I'm talking about. If they comprehended that all of this was a game and a system, they would know that the word smart means that they're programmed. And that means that somebody else had to program your thoughts, your mind, your thinking process. How you feel is somebody else's feelings, because people don't like to do the work for themselves anymore. And that's really sad because there's a lot of people who are taking advantage of the fact that people want instant satisfaction. And, you know, when things are worth fighting for, it is not instant. You got to wait and you got to put in work. In this process, you got to do that. So let me go back in. Critically, definitions of a person do not include a sovereign, and therefore no type of person can be one of the sovereign people of any freely constituted nation. Legal definitions. Now, artificial legal definition from Black's Law Dictionary, 2nd edition, is a non-human entity that is created by law and is legally different, owning its own rights and duties. The definition for natural person is a human being naturally born versus a legally generated juridical person. Juridical person definition is entity as a firm that is not a single natural person as a human being, authorized by law with duties and rights, recognized as a legal authority, having a distinct identity and legal personality. Also known as artificial person, juridical entity, juristic person, or legal person. Also referred to body corporate. And that's also in Black's Law Dictionary, 2nd edition. And then in Black's Law Dictionary, 7th edition, the definition for a natural person is a human being as distinguished from an artificial person created by law. Now, what is a person? Most people would say a person is them. They would say we are people. So that makes us persons. You get what I'm saying? So that would be the answer for most people. But in law, that word means something different. And this is why their system is created to make you use certain words with a different definition that they give us in their school systems versus the true definition in law. And they know that we're going to be acting in law and commerce because they created a system that is what the requirement is. When your parents enroll you in school, they sign over their rights on a negotiable instrument, which is that application or enrollment form, whatever you want to call it. So let's dive into what a person is. Person means an individual, a firm, a partnership, an association, a fiduciary, an executor or administrator, a governmental entity, a limited liability company, or a corporate. And that comes from Indiana Code Title 9, Motor Vehicles, Article 13, General Provisions and Definitions, Chapter 2, Definitions, IC 913 to 124, Person, Section 124, Section A. Literally, y'all can write all of that, type all of that into Google, and it'll take you directly to that definition. This is really good to have the definitions down pat, especially if you are a beginner. You need to be focused on learning the words that they use against us through legalese. Okay, so the next definition comes from Webster's Dictionary, 1828. And that definition is said to be compound of per, through or by, and sonus, sound, a Latin word, signifying primarily a mask used by actors on the stage. So persona, that's where the word person comes from, the Latin word persona. And persona basically is when you are playing a role, like an actor in a movie. They're putting on a persona. Now, this next definition comes from Oran's Dictionary of the Law, 3rd edition, 2000. And you guys can grab that too. To help you with, it's more than just Black's Law Dictionary. Everybody talks about Black's Law Dictionary, but it's more than just that dictionary. You also have Bouvier, Oran, and it's a few more that I'll be mentioning. Probably not in this slideshow, but in other ones. Now, individual, person, according to Oran's Dictionary of Law, 3rd edition, their definition is a human being, a natural person. That's the first one. And the second definition is a corporation, an artificial person. Corporations are treated as persons in many legal situations. Also, the word person includes corporations in most definitions in this dictionary. And the third definition is any other being entitled to sue as a legal entity, a government, an association, a group of trustees, etc. This is crazy. The fourth definition is the plural of person is persons, not people. See that word. So individual definition in Black's Law Dictionary, second edition, is a noun. This term denotes a single person as distinguished from a group or class, and also very commonly a private or natural person as distinguished from a partnership, corporation, or association. But it is said that this restrictive signification is not necessarily inherent in the word, and that it may, in proper cases, include artificial persons. All of this is lining up. And then this is the next one I was telling you about, Ballantine Law Dictionary, 1930, and Black's Law Dictionary 773, 6th edition, 1990, U.S. versus Middleton, and all of that stuff that y'all see right there. I'm not about to read all of that. The definition of human is monster, a human being by birth, but is some part resembling a lower animal. A monster hath no inheritable blood and cannot be heir to any land. So when you call yourself a human being, you are calling yourself a monster, a lower animal, and it has a lot to do with spirituality. And I can go on and on and on about that, but that's a whole nother topic that would take a long time for me to break down, especially to beginners. But they know things that they told you to be afraid of. They know things that they taught you not to believe in, because they put spookism on everything. So the term person does not include the sovereign. And that comes from Wilson versus Omaha Indian Tribe, 442 U.S. 653, 1979. Now, putting it all together. 1, on a birth certificate, the legal person name is a deceased estate trust, which is why the definition for the term person in the United States, Inc., Social Security Act 1935, includes trust or estate. Go look it up. Social Security Act of 1935 definition, section 1101A, when used in this act, 3, the term person means an individual, a trust or estate, a partnership, or a corporation. More proof as to why you have a bond that's been created in your name as a corporation, and you're out here calling yourself a person. You're out here signing over your rights every time you put your John Hancock on a piece of paper. You don't realize that every last one of those pieces of paper that you signed your name on are negotiable instruments that they trade against your birth certificate and social security number in your trust or estate. And all of those presentments called bills that they mail you every month is actually checks, because they come in a positive amount. It's not negative. There's no negative in front of those numbers. If I owed it, it should be negative. It should not be positive. And you take those remittance coupons and you endorse them, and they are so happy that you did that. Because if somebody on the internet is giving you misinformation, and you're not doing anything but helping them to tax your trust even more, because you're not trying to start from the beginning. And the beginning is obtaining the knowledge of why you are even a debt slave to begin with. If you don't know that, then none of this will make sense to you. If you're only in this to discharge debt, then you're in this for the wrong reasons, and you'll end up quitting and just going back to the status quo. So understanding this process from the very beginning is how you're going to be able to make it to the end successfully, because you've took the time to learn and not try to rush through this process and try to get some quick remedy, which is not going to happen if you don't understand all of this. So I encourage everybody to think for themselves. That's why I give you guys what I give you, because when I first joined, like when I first got into this process and learning about it, I was like looking around for somebody who was reliable to teach, about this, and there was nobody. Literally, everybody wanted money from you, but when you go into their class, they're not giving you any information that's leading you anywhere. You're just going around, running around like a chicken with your head cut off, spending all of this money trying to do all of these processes, and none of them get you the remedy that you're seeking so much. But you're failing to realize you were looking at it like, oh, I did something wrong. No, you didn't do something wrong. You just skipped a whole lot of steps. If you want success, you have to take the long way. There's no elevator to it. So if you think that you're going to be able to discharge debt just because somebody told you to put all of these codes and stuff and stamps and thumbprints and stuff on negotiable instruments, and you don't have the standing ground to even use negotiable instruments, then how do you think it's going to work? You're not in the status to be able to even use those. You don't even understand what a negotiable instrument is. You don't even know that every time you go to work and clock in, you're taking away from your transmitting utility and putting more into them, because you're keeping this system alive out of fear that they put on you, because they created a system where they can manipulate your feelings. All of this is just, it's a big game, and you have to realize that you're the one being played. So number 2, legislation seldom differentiates between the legal person and the natural person. However, both terms are included in the New Zealand Bill of Rights Act 1990, Section 29, application to legal persons. Except where the provisions of the Bills of Rights otherwise provide, the provisions of this Bill of Rights apply so far as practicable for the benefit of all legal persons as well as the benefit of all natural persons. All legally generated fictional persons are debtors by default. Y'all heard me, right? I'm going to read it again, because somebody out here is lying to people that are still debtors. If you are still in the status of a debtor, a dead man, all black, you can't discharge debt until you change your status. So I'm going to read it again. All legally generated fictional persons are debtors by default because they are created without any inherent productive capacity. Their inferior status is indicated by the use of written styles other than proper English grammar, and or by joining the family name, which is your first name, and a surname, which is the last name, to a man, woman's appellation, which is the given name, which was only your first name, estate title, thereby corrupting the living estate title, because the family name and a surname, which is the last name, has no autonomous life. So when you put your first name and your last name together, you create a corporation, you create a person, you create a fictitious entity. This is why they had you put your mom, had your mom give you a last name to begin with, because beforehand people were going by example, John of the family Doe. They were not putting their last name and first name together. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, go look at my video from last week where I broke that down. Black's Law Dictionary, Revised 4th edition, 1968, provides the following definitions of written styles. The first word is Latin, of course. It's Latin, of course, and it means the diminishing of status through the use of capitalization. In Roman law, a diminishing or abridgment of personality, a loss of curtailment of a man's status or aggregate of legal attributes and qualifications. The second one meaning a minimal loss of status through the use of capitalization. Example, John Doe, the way they taught us to write our name in school at a very young age, because that was the proper way to write your name. Or was that the proper way for them to make us continue to be debt slaves? That's the part they don't want to talk about. The lowest, so putting your first and last name together like they taught us in school, is the lowest or least comprehensive degree of loss of status. Like you literally gave all of your rights away. You are just a dead man walking, literally. This occurred where a man's family relations alone were changed. It happened upon the aggregation, which is pride of a person who had been his own master, which is sui juris, of his own right, not under any legal disability, or upon the emancipation of one who had been under the parental authority. It left the rights of liberty and citizenship unaltered. And you can see instructions under 116, print 123 of Meckled, Roman Law 144. That's where that reference comes from. The next one is meaning a medium loss of status through the use of capitalization. Example, first name with the your first name with the uppercase first letter and your last name in all caps. And that is a lesser or medium loss of status. This occurred where a man loses his rights of citizenship, but without losing his liberty. It carried away also the family rights. So they walked us down into writing our names the way that we do today, which is the lowest or least. And that's why we are literally, you see this human body here on the chart? There are 7 chakras in the human body, and they range from the top of your head to the bottom of your anus, right? And they have literally walked us down from the top of our head all the way down into our hell, which is your anus. And they've been telling us that hell is outside of us, but we've already been having hell because they have us at the lowest point where we're calling ourselves human beings, monsters, creations, to be monsters in a corporate game. And they sit back and they laugh at us because they taught us how to think. You have so many people that still believe that the government is going to save them. The next one means maximum loss of status through the use of capitalization. So that's the all caps name on your birth certificate. That is the highest level of slavery. You gave away everything. This occurred when a man's condition was changed from one of freedom to one of bondage. When he became a slave, it swept away with all rights of citizenship and all family rights. So let's rewind it back. If every bill that you're getting, if every presentment that they have or that they are mailing to you every month is given to you or addressed in a all cap name, which they are, for the most part, most of them come to you in all cap name. They're literally telling you right there that you gave away every right that you have. And the crazy thing about it is you will still try to do these debt discharging methods and continue to not get any success. But that's why. This is the maximum loss of status through the use of capitalization in a capitalistic society. More details. A slave in bondage, divested of common living rights, has a status in practice equivalent to dead property, being a mere thing. Dead, which is an all capital letter, name, are found on graveyard tombstones, on vessels in commerce, like when they have to name their ship in the sea. Every ship has to have a name. On corporate signage, and on legal fiction documents such as driver's license and so on. And it's so much that I can say about the driver's license, but if you haven't got your free ticket to the driver's license class, you missed out because they're all gone now. But I still do have tickets. You can go purchase a ticket. But I'm going to be doing a webinar on March 30th, April 30th, and May 30th about driver's license fraud and the right to travel, because the more that I'm digging into this information, the more I see how much they have dumbed us down to not think for ourselves, because the information is so available and people just want to shortcut everything. Now, anyway, further, the use of all capital letters is not proper English written language and is also defined as glosses in American Sign Language. The Chicago Manual of Style, 16th edition, for language section 11.147. Glosses in American Sign Language. This is the definition of what a glosses is. The written language transcription of a sign is called a gloss. Glosses are words from the spoken language written in small capital letters. So all caps woman, all caps school, all caps cat. Alternatively, regular capital letters may be used. When 2 or more words are used to gloss a single sign, the glosses are separated by hyphens. The translation is enclosed in double quotation marks. The sign for a car drove by is written as all caps vehicle hyphen drive hyphen by. One obvious limitation of the use of glosses from the spoken written language to represent signs is that there is no one-to-one correspondence between the words or signs in any 2 languages. So that word there is Latin, and it's from 11 Coke 34. It is a poisonous gloss which corrupts the essence of the text. And the word Coke equals the reports of Sir Edward Coke, J.H. Thomas, and J.F. Fraser. That's where this comes from. The reference is there. So regardless of writing styles, combining a given name with a family name always forms an artificial legal person. Example, all caps, John Doe, and first letters caps, rest lowercase, John Doe. They are both artificial legal persons. So I just put all of that together from so many different sources. So it's nobody that can tell you that all of this stuff is not real. All of these sources are saying the same thing. How is that a coincidence? A man or woman's appellation, which is a given name, is their living estate title. Example, John. Your estate is the land or property of your mind, body, and soul, and all the physical and intellectual property that derives from your living energy, including your inborn, unalienable rights. Whereas the shared family name / surname / last name is not autonomous, it is a dead plural noun. Therefore, the given name must be grammatically separated to avoid semantic corruption. Like I said, this is why they kept you on a second grade reading level, regardless if you went to college and graduated. They have not taught you all of the rules of the language that you speak because they don't want you to speak it correctly. This is why when you read law books, you're like, the way they talk doesn't sound right. But actually, most of it is the way you're supposed to be speaking. Right? And so they trick us because they use a language that they have knowledge of and they've been trained to know. And that's the language that we've been taken away from. So we would never understand what they're saying. Therefore, the given name must be grammatically separated to avoid semantic corruption. Legalization joins the living given name to the dead plural noun, forming a dead artificial legal person name, taking away a man or woman's unique living estate title. The minimum grammatical separation between the living given name and the dead plural family name, surname, or last name is a colon. Example, John colon Doe. It is more definitive to state the correct relationship. Example, John colon of the family Doe. However, adding the family name, surname, or last name is always optional. The estate title is one or more given names. Example, John-Henry, which is sufficient on any document. In proper grammar, living given names are proper nouns beginning with a capital letter. And if a family name is added, it is separated by a colon indicating the facts and introducing their relationship. This is why there is a such thing as parse syntax grammar, because parse syntax grammar is the proper way to read and write. That is fact and fact only. Because nouns can be a fake thing. So there are no nouns, pronouns, adverbs, or verbs. Really. I'm sorry, there is verbs. I'm sorry. There are pronouns and verbs in parse syntax grammar, but in law, they only speak in verb, pronoun, or adverb. And this is how they confuse you. So if you don't know about parse syntax grammar, go look up David Wynn Miller. He breaks it down because he's like the one who really was breaking, like he's like the creator of it. Basically, he's not the creator of it for us, like the whole world, but he's like, he got the knowledge from the creator of it. But you should go and check him out because then you will really understand why they're keeping us in this language and keeping us where they have us pretty much for the most part. But fictional persons are not styled in this grammatically correct manner. Note the types of persons evidenced by the following styles. So look at this. When you write your name with the first, middle, and last name, John Henry Doe, with all the first letters in cap, it equals foreign situs trust. When your name is in all caps, first, middle, and last, John Henry Doe, it means Sestake v. Estate Trust. And under that, when you have your name as how they have it on your, like when you have a job or something, when you're working, all caps with your middle name, just the first letter, that means you're a public transmitting utility. Therefore, A man or woman enjoinder to a person becomes the walking dead, legally speaking. By definition, they are incompetent and incapable of possessing living rights and responsibilities. Consequently, their estate title properties are forfeit and they are granted limited and revocable benefits and privileges. Their ignorance is negligence, and for as long as they walk in the underworld of the living dead, they are subject to the high priest of Baal, or the black robed devil, who makes a judgment upon the one who has given up their life. And in doing so, the priest delivers a curse. In ancient times, it was death. In modern times, it's debt. You get it? And the victim is sacrificed. Every person is a debtor by default, and every man or woman who suffers joinder to a person becomes surety in the debt money system of bondage, sacrificing their living energy via that fictional transmitting utility, feeding the parasitic banking cabal, which espouses the Roman motto, "He who would be deceived, let him be deceived." And that concludes this presentation. And I want to say thank you for being here tonight. Join me on February 28th, 2024 at the same time, 5:30 p.m. Pacific, 7:30 p.m. Central, 8:30 p.m. Eastern. I will be discussing the parts of a contract and really breaking that down, going into everything that you need to know about contracts and how you've been duped into all your contracts and how you can come out of them. So just like, share, subscribe, and turn on post notifications to be reminded of when I go live. If you're interested in joining my private community at $10 a month, the link is patreon.com/divinetrustbabies. To purchase a course of the content is link tr.ee.com/divinetrustbabies, and you can enroll in my DTB Academy where every step of this process from the beginning to end with examples, instructions, and a lot of support, including a private Telegram group. You can enroll at divine-trust-babies.trainercentralsite.com/course/Divine Trust Babies Academy. And if you want to get that free info packet and an example community bill of rights document, you can email me at divinetrustbabies07@gmail.com. Other than that, I appreciate you guys being here. I hope to see you guys next week. About the parts of a contract, and this will help you to get even more clarity about this process. But enjoy the rest of your night. I hope you guys have an abundant rest of your week, and I hope to see you guys also at the driver's license fraud and what I say, right to travel webinar. Other than that, thanks for joining me. Please like and share this video.